So to start out today, what we have, Ice Barbie Christie Nome is on Capitol Hill right now, and she is testifying before the House Judiciary Committee. Christie Nome testified in front of the Senate yesterday, and we really didn't cover it, or I didn't cover it. One, I had an interview that I was doing, a great interview with Jacob Ward yesterday. And I also opted not to cover it because there was so much else going on. There was so much other stuff to cover yesterday with the war, and we'll certainly cover sort of the war. But today I want to kind of show you two things. I want to show you there's Jim Jordan, the chairman of this particular committee, babbling incessantly. The effort, what the Republicans and the Democrats are each trying to do in this hearing. Democrats are showing video of ICE Gestapo agents doing incredibly destructive things, violent things, questioning her in real time about it. She's not able to answer it. And Jim Jordan and the Republicans are desperately trying to find a way to normalize, what you're seeing on video. So that's where we're going to start out with, and then we're going to go into after we cut. There's a few different things. I want to show you Jamie Raskin's opening statement. We'll listen in on Christie Nome speaking directly as well. Let me just while we're doing this, actually, I'm going to start the video here, and or put the sound on, and then while I'm doing that, I'm just going to do my my beginning of live stuff that I have to do, pulling up the live stream, the chats and everything, and then we'll sort of talk about it. So let me just pull up the.
They are. That is the problem. With that, I now recognize the ranking member for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're fighting for American citizens, Madam Secretary.
Today
because your ICE agents shot them in the face and killed them, and each person you see up on this dais today represents 800,000 American citizens. And you should know that as a former member of Congress. Now, her brother said that Renee Good was someone who could make you believe things were going to be okay despite all the hardship because she chose optimism. Alex Preddy was a Boy Scout, a choir member, an outdoorsman from Green Bay who lavished attention on his beloved dog, Jewel. His sister called her brother someone who had a way of lighting up every room that he walked into. But only a few hours after they were gunned down by your agents, you called Renee a domestic terrorist. You said Alex committed an act of domestic terrorism. Alex's parents responded to your calling their son a domestic terrorist. They said, the sickening lies told about our son by the administration are reprehensible and disgusting. Now, I want to give you a chance before the entire country to correct your false and defamatory claim. Based on what you know today, Madam Secretary, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
Congressman, what happened in Minnesota in those two incidents was an absolute tragedy.
Were they domestic terrorists, as you said to the country?
My condolences to their families, because I know that their lives will never be the same after that happened.
Is that an apology for what you said?
We, in those incidents, offer as much information as we can from officers and agents on the ground in a chaotic scene that gets.
I'll repeat my question, reclaiming my time. Based on what you know today, Madam Secretary, based on what you know today, were Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists?
As you know, there's ongoing investigations that are being led by the FBI.
But you didn't wait for the investigation, did you? You didn't wait for the evidence. You proclaimed that they were domestic terrorists at the time. Why did you do that?
And you didn't wait to attack our law enforcement.
Why did you do that?
We're going into a dangerous situation.
Why did you call them domestic terrorists?
Is our ICE officers and our HSI officers that day risked their lives to protect that scene, so evidence could be reclaimed, so it could be used in the investigation. Because those violent rioters that were
So you're
there
proud of the fact that you called them domestic terrorists? Is that what you're telling America?
HSI officers put their lives on the line to protect that scene, so evidence so we could have.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. But you told a lie about them. You said that they were domestic terrorists. Do you regret that?
I offer my condolences to those family. And again,
Based on what you
we'll tell
know
them that
today, were Renee
chaotic
Good
scene
and
on the
Alex
ground.
Preddy domestic terrorists?
There's ongoing investigations, and so I
So
cannot.
you still don't know? You think that's an open question?
I would think you would want there to still be investigations going into these situations.
Well, you
So we'll
stated the
continue to-
conclusion 2 hours after they were killed that they were domestic terrorists. I wanted to give you an opportunity to correct the record, not just for their family, but for everybody in America who believes in the truth and fairness and honesty.
In every situation, as facts come out, we relay.
You know,
them and
your acting
communicate
ICE
them to the
director,
family.
Todd Lyons, came before Congress. He said he had no knowledge whatsoever that Alex Preddy and Renee Good were domestic terrorists. None. This is your guy. He said that. He admitted that that was wrong. Why won't you admit it?
I will tell you the investigation is still ongoing, and we'll.
So do you regret speaking before the investigation?
I would say that in those situations,
You regret
the
that?
chaotic scene on the ground, we relay information to the American people that they're asking for. And as the things change, situations change.
People
we
were
continue
asking
to
you whether they were
communicate that
domestic
as well.
terrorists?
We
And you
continue to
decided that they were
communicate.
before the investigation?
As we learn more, we.
You don't want to say anything to their families?
I did. I said condolences.
For what?
I'm
How
hurt
about an
that-
apology for what you said about their loved
My
ones?
heart is with them, and we will continue to stand with them as they get a complete investigation into these situations.
All right. Well, let me ask you some questions of law if you can't handle the facts. Very simple questions of law, not trick questions. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person for engaging in peaceful protest and nothing else? That's a yes or no
Say
question.
Each instances in peaceful protest, no, it's not.
Okay,
But I
good.
would say
Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person for filming them on a public street? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Is it lawful for federal agents to shoot and kill a person just because that person is lawfully carrying a holstered firearm under the Second Amendment in state law?
No.
And finally, yes or no, is it lawful for federal agents to shoot an innocent person or even a criminal suspect just for driving away from them, according to the Supreme Court?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you got the law right, and I hope you would rethink what you said about two good, honest, faithful American citizens and what that means to their families when you say that as Secretary of Homeland Security. And your ICE guy has already retracted that, and you should retract it too. I yield back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Arizona is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Secretary Noem, for being here today. Also, I want to acknowledge the Angel families. There are very few jurisdictions that don't have Angel families. Very How outrageous is that? How outrageous? So, Secretary Noem, before I turn to my questions, I want to establish the insanity of what sanctuary jurisdictions are doing and why it matters. And by the way, I'll just say, Mr. Chairman, on the CDL issue, I have a bill 7200. I'd love to bring that in because it would require states do E-Verify before they grant a CDL. We might save some more lives. Let's start with ICE immigration detainers. From October 2022 through February
to go after the worst of the worst, the murderers, the pedophiles, the rapists, etc. In my letters, I said I agree with you on those things. People who are in this country illegally or not citizens who commit those crimes should be deported. But the facts show that most of the people that you have stopped and tried to deport have not committed any of those crimes. In fact, they've committed no crimes at all. I've got a study here from the Justice Department that shows that less than...
You know what, Catherine? You were absolutely right. My apologies, everyone. I just noticed what the problem is. I'm sure you can probably hear me now. This is user. It wasn't Substack. It was me. This was you would think after months I would get better at this. In order to avoid an echo, what I did is when I play the video coming in from C-SPAN, I tap this little button and it mutes my microphone, and I forgot to unmute it. So, Catherine, I apologize for that, and thank you for letting me know. And those who are who were able to stick around, thank you, Winifred. I fucked up. I'm so sorry, guys. That was Catherine caught it, and I was trying to figure it out, and it was just a freaking button. The solution. I'm glad you stayed too, Catherine, and always call me out on that, because it's often me. Let me just play Christy, and then I'll Christy Gnome's babbling, and then I'll talk about this more.
And respond to all the letters that he received as secretary. And in fact, one of those letters was
I just want to hear about the letters I wrote to you.
days old.
Just tell me about the letters I wrote to you.
I have responded to over 1,490 letters that I've gotten from members of Congress.
You could have done 1,498 and done mine
That's
as well.
just individual letters. Sometimes they had 60 to 70 signatures on them, and we responded to every one of them.
Tell me about the worst of the worst.
The worst of the worst, sir. I think you've offended the families behind me today with that.
Did not intend to, and I think it's wrong for you to suggest it.
You're commenting on the fact that the individuals aren't violent reoffenders, and you keep talking about the fact that these individuals that are in this country illegally don't harm families.
No, I didn't say that. I said they're less likely than people born here. I didn't say that they don't do it.
The vast majority of these people behind me lost their children due to drugs, overdoses from drugs that came over the southern border. They died from their kids being hit on accidents on the roads that illegal drivers were driving. Truck drivers, Marcus Coleman and Delilah's father has told a story over and over again.
All that's true and a given. That's true and a given, Ms. Nome, but you say you're only going after the worst of the worst, and you're not. Go after the worst of the worst. And if you did, people wouldn't find your department to be the worst department in the United States of America.
We do targeted enforcement based on intelligence and go after the worst of the worst. When we are on those enforcement actions, if there are people with those individuals, we confirm their identities as well to make sure that they have legal status in our country. We need to make sure that people understand that when you come into this country illegally, overstay a student visa, if you don't go in for your
I'm going to reclaim my time
because
because
if you're out of legal status,
I'm reclaiming my
then you
time,
need to
Madam
go home.
Secretary, please. That's one issue. Another issue is the fact of training. And an ICE Academy has Ryan Schwank, a former instructor and immigration and customs enforcement attorney, joined ICE in 2021 and resigned February.
Sorry about that. I did it again, but I caught myself. This time. I cut off Congressman Cohen because every time I listen to him, having an opportunity to, every time I have an opportunity to question somebody like Kristi Noem, he sucks. He just the last couple times, I know nothing about Congressman Cohen. I have nothing against him. I have nothing against him. I have no problem with him, but you can't squander these political opportunities. I know, guys. I'm sorry about the that I muted it again. You can't. You cannot squander these opportunities to be able to effectively question her. And can you guys hear me now? I mean, I'm unmuted now. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Just curious. I know there's. I'm looking down at the feed here, and I'm seeing some folks saying I'm muted, but it might be a delay. Oh, let's hear. Let's listen to Massey anyway. I'll shut up.
And mandates and lockdowns. So my hat's off to you for your service there. And I know the job you have now is extremely difficult. Today here on the dais, it's going to be partisan. I know that.
You know what? I don't even want to fucking hear from Massey then. If he's going to be, if Massey's not going to be on the right side of history with this, I don't have the patience for it. Just checking to make sure I'm unmuted. I just don't have the patience for bullshit right now. So what I'd like to do is, while, if Massey was talking about the Epstein files, I would certainly play that. But what I want to do is play Raskin's opening statement. Oops, sorry. Hang on. Let me just lock the screen so I don't. That shouldn't be moving around. Who cares? So I'm going to play Congressman Raskin's, Ranking Member Raskin's opening statement, because it's pretty powerful.
And welcome, Secretary Noem. We're glad to meet you, even though it's been 13 months since you took office and more than 5 weeks since 2 American citizens were shot dead in Minneapolis. Renee Good was a 37-year-old poet, about 20 years younger than you are now, and like you, both a devout Christian and the mother of 3. She was on her way home from school drop-off when she encountered an ICE operation, and one of your agents shot her dead. Shot her 3 times. She bled out in the driver's seat of her car after your agents refused to let a doctor or EMTs approach her. You expressed no sympathy for her family and no regret for her killing by an ICE agent. You ran a smear campaign against Renee Good. You called her a domestic terrorist. Alex Preddy was also 37 and, like you, a federal worker. He was an ICU nurse at a VA hospital, outstanding in his job, providing comfort to many of our vets in their final hours. He was standing on a street corner filming your agents as they roughed up peaceful protesters. Americans have a First Amendment right to record government agents in public places, as 8 different federal circuit courts have unanimously found. But your agents pepper sprayed Alex Preddy for helping a woman that they had pushed to the ground. Then they threw him to the ground. They beat him up. They stripped him of a lawful firearm he had never touched. And then, after confiscating it, they shot him dead with 10 bullets. Before his body was even cold, you launched a smear campaign against him, using the same language, asserting without evidence that Alex Preddy had committed a, quote, act of domestic terrorism and intended to kill law enforcement. This disturbing video tells the true facts you tried to cover up with propaganda, and we can play it only because other brave Americans used their phones to capture the actual reality of this horror.
Deadly ICE-involved shooting out of Minneapolis. The Minneapolis police chief says a woman was killed after being shot in the head by an ICE agent.
Renee Nicole Good was a 37-year-old U.S. citizen and mother of 3 who moved to Minnesota just last year.
It was an act of domestic terrorism.
Breaking news in Minneapolis and another deadly shooting involving a federal officer in that city. This video shows the incident from this morning, with officers surrounding a man before taking him down and shooting him during a struggle. Officials later said the man had died. Minneapolis city officials said the man is a 37-year-old white male, a resident of Minneapolis. They also say he is believed to be an American citizen and that he was a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry.
This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
Madam Secretary, you've provided no evidence to back up your defamatory lie against either of these American citizens. There have been 3 homicides in Minneapolis in 2026. Your agents committed 2 of them. Rather than work with state and local authorities to solve these homicides, you barred Minnesota's investigators from the crime scenes. You're denying them access to all the evidence that you have about the deaths of their citizens. It smells like a cover-up, and it makes me wonder who the real domestic terrorists are. But you didn't just lie about Renee Good and Alex Preddy. In dozens of cases, federal judges have found that your officials lied to them in court. A Reagan-appointed judge rejected the testimony of your acting ICE director as, quote, disingenuous, squalid, and dishonorable. Another judge called the affidavit of a top ICE official, quote, the sorriest statement I've ever seen, adding she was shocked when she saw it, and that if you were asking to get a warrant issued on this, I'd throw you out of my chambers. Here are a few more examples of the many scores we found in the case books. Yesterday, you insisted under oath to the Senate that you follow court orders, but that's not true either. Just last month, your lawyers were forced to admit that you had violated immigration court orders more than 50 times in 10 weeks. And that was just in New Jersey, one of 94 judicial districts in America. In Minnesota, Judge Patrick Schultz, a George W. Bush appointee, concluded, quote, that ICE has likely violated more court orders in January of 2026 than some federal agencies have violated in their entire existence. And while you make a daily mockery of our courts and our Constitution, you're treating the billions of dollars our colleagues showered on your department like a personal slush fund. You budgeted an astonishing $220 million for media consultant contracts so you can star in self-promoting photo shoots and lavish ad campaigns like this one of you riding horseback at Mount Rushmore, which was shot during last year's government shutdown. You're living rent-free in the official waterfront residence reserved for the commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard. You spent $172 million to buy not one, but 2 luxury jets for your travel, and now you're using taxpayer funds to lease a 3rd jet, a $70 million luxury 737 MAX with a queen-size bedroom in the back, a deluxe serving bar, and 4 flat-screen TVs. A big, beautiful jet paid for by the big, beautiful bill. Yesterday, under questioning the Senate, you said you plan to refurbish this jet to make it into this kind of airplane, which is what's actually being used for deportations in order to save the taxpayers' money. In other words, you're saying that's actually a deportation plane, but wouldn't it have been cheaper just to buy a deportation plane in the first place? It's like buying a Rolls Royce to turn into a Metro bus. I was almost prepared to buy that story of how the jet was both for executive travel and mass deportation. And then I heard about an airborne episode of entitlement, arrogance, and contempt that I could hardly believe. Apparently, when your special blanket, your blankie, was left on one of the government jets and not transported over to the new one, your special government employee, Corey Lewandowski, chivalrously stepped forward to fire the pilot midair. A 2003 Coast Guard Academy graduate and distinguished U.S. Coast Guard commander in Air Station, Washington, D.C. But then he had to be rehired immediately because there was no one else who could fly the two of you on the rest of the journey back home. Secretary Noem, you're flying high now, maybe even a little bit too close to the sun. But with all these free planes and houses and pilots, you've traveled a long distance from your actual job and the things you should be doing as head of Homeland Security. Your agency is charged with protecting the homeland. It includes FEMA, TSA, the Secret Service, the Coast Guard, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, as well as ICE and CBP. Yet you've hollowed out the national security mission. You redeployed thousands of people responsible for tracking terror financing and fighting cyber threats to go work on your mass immigration roundup. You reassigned to the roundup agents working a key national security probe into Iran's terror financing, paralyzing that investigation. And to run what's left of Homeland Security's ruined Terrorism Prevention Office, you actually installed a 22-year-old intern whose chief listed qualification for the job was that he had participated in a model UN club his junior year of college. Through FEMA, you're supposed to provide disaster relief to our communities. Yet last summer,
I know that was outstanding. Jamie Raskin is remarkable. His skill, talent, knowledge, experience is unmatched in Congress at this point. If you're just joining us, right now there's a Senate Judiciary hearing going on. I'll show you the live span. So right now there's this House Judiciary Committee is interviewing Ice Barbie, cosplaying cop, horseback rider, Navy SEAL, supermodel wannabe Kristi Noem. And that was earlier. What you just saw there was right at the beginning of my tongue is getting twisted here. Right at the beginning of it was recording from the beginning of the committee hearing, where that was Raskin's opening statement. And if you just joined us, we saw Raskin about 10 minutes ago live. We were watching this live stream of the hearing. And Raskin had responded to some of Jim Jordan, the chairman of the committee, some of his babbling bullshit, because what Republicans are trying to do in this committee is just somehow reframe and normalize. The Democrats are showing what actually happened with both video evidence and questioning of ICE's behavior and Kristi Noem's incompetence and corruption. And the Republicans are trying to reframe and justify what the Democrats are presenting and questioning Noem on with receipts of all types. Republicans are then trying to reframe that with Biden let in all of these criminals and mental patients, and they kill people, and Kristi Noem's taking them all off the streets. That is the entirety of this hearing right now. So what we saw from Raskin just a few moments ago, I can't replay the whole thing, guys. I almost want to, but I don't think that would be. I just can't do it. It's going to take up too much time. But what Raskin did after Jim Jordan did just that, after he sort of took time from the entire committee hearing, because the chairman can do that. He started talking about how great what Noem was doing and how they need to pass this legislation that he has to get rid of sanctuary cities or some shit, and what a great job she's doing. Then Raskin basically followed up on what you just saw, where he showed her active video, of her calling Renee Good and Alex Preddy domestic terrorists, right? He followed that up with asking her, kind of as only he can do, specifically asking her, now in retrospect, I'm going to give you the chance to correct yourself. Is Renee Good and Alex Preddy, are they domestic terrorists? That was the question that he asked over and over again. And each time Noem tried to pivot as best that she could, right? She tried to talk about, I can't remember exactly but there's a live investigation going on right now, Congressman. There's an investigation. No. He's like, no, I didn't. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, have you, well, there's an investigation going on right now. And then that's it. That's the best she could say. And then he subsequently asked her, told her that Todd Lyons, the ICE boss, had gone back on the domestic terrorism thing and said was not acts of they were not domestic terrorists. And he said, can you at least agree with your own guy? You oversee the boss of ICE, Todd Lyons. Yeah, I think it's Todd Lyons. And he is Todd Lyons, who says that those were not acts of domestic terrorism. Can you backtrack from that? And of course she can't, as a complete, she's a fucking nutcase of epic proportions. I mean, she's almost as crazy as Trump. I truly think that. Callous, heartless, soulless. There's nothing left. There's no spirit left in the soul of that empty shell of a human being, right? But she could not be, but on top of that, you can't admit you're wrong, and you have to fucking lie to survive in the Trump administration, because I require, you gotta lie. I love it when they lie. It's good. It's very good. She's an excellent liar, not as good as me. So she can't admit that she made a mistake by calling them domestic terrorists. She can just try to speak around it and pretend that it didn't happen. And I guess though, I guess a moving picture is worth 1,000 words. And the time I'm so sorry about this, guys, because your time that I wasted telling you what actually just transpired in that video, I could have just showed you the fucking video. See, this is the narcissist in me, but at least I'm willing to admit it. We all have a little Trump in us, I think, right? I had to fucking listen to myself talk for 10 minutes, but I could have just fucking showed you the video. Anyway, let me just see who's... so what I think we'll do is let's... in the background, I want to cover a little bit more news. It's about 11:40, and I'm going to end the live maybe just a little bit earlier today. But I'm going to leave this in the background just because I want to see who is speaking. But I'm going to switch scenes now because I want to cover some other. Oh wait, Eric Swalwell. No, I'm not. We're going to listen to Eric Swalwell. Forget what I just said.
With us, but have been hurt and changed. And I'm sorry that this has happened to you. And I see you, I know my colleagues see you, our country sees you. And I thank you for being here today. Secretary, my question for you is, do you see families like Miguel Lopez, who was a neighbor of mine in Livermore, California? Miguel had lived in Livermore for over 30 years. He raised his 3 children in Livermore. His youngest is a senior at a local high school, just finished his football season. Miguel worked at a winery where my wife and I were married almost 10 years ago. Miguel had done everything that was asked of him, went to every immigration proceeding that he was supposed to go to, and in April was put in handcuffs as he was following the orders of the court and going to the proceedings. He was arrested and sent to Mexico over a judge's objection that he not be sent to Mexico and he stay in the United States. Every Sunday night, his wife Rosa and the family have a dinner and there's an empty chair at the dinner table. Miguel's not there. I went and saw Miguel in Mexico. He doesn't have a job. He's not able to provide. And he said his Spanish isn't even that great because he hasn't been there for 30 years and it's hard for him to communicate. Do you see the pain of families like Miguel Lopez, someone who did not commit a violent crime but has been separated from his family and is not providing, is not working?
Congressman,
do you see that pain?
Did he have a criminal record?
Did Mr. Lopez have a criminal record? In 1995, he pled to a lesser nonviolent charge. But do you see the pain
I do see the pain,
okay.
and I wish people would do things correctly. If they're not in legal status in this country, they can return home. We will pay for them to return home.
Yeah.
I hope he got the $2,600 he could have gotten.
Do you think that makes up for not being with his family?
It helps because we have agreements with these countries where they are helping to facilitate housing.
It was a nonviolent
training,
crime, Secretary.
But then he gets the chance to come back the right way. Now that he's waited until he's been detained and deported, he will never get the chance to come back to the United States.
It was
and
a
so
nonviolent.
I wish he would have made the right decision and decided to go home to help his family and him to be together. They have choices that they can make to be together, and we're hopeful that they will continue to do that.
The president also, by the way, is a convicted felon, if you want to talk about criminal records. Secretary Noem, did you or your staff fire one of your pilots recently?
No.
No pilot was relieved of their duty?
No.
The story
Not that I'm aware of.
So the story, and recognizing you're under oath, the story in the Wall Street Journal was incorrect.
That individual was not fired. Do you know how many years it takes to get a military officer to be fired? That story was
he asked to not
inaccurate.
fly the next day?
It was not accurate. And I was surprised that the Wall Street Journal would print that many inaccuracies in one article.
Well, the Wall Street Journal is not a liberal newspaper of record. Well, tell me then.
I don't know what it is anymore.
Tell me then, has a single ICE agent or CBP officer been been disciplined since you've been Secretary of Homeland Security. As we've seen women dragged through their streets by their hair and thrown into unmarked cars, people chased through the fields and factories where they work, public executions happening in our streets, has a single ICE agent or CBP officer been disciplined?
Yes, they have.
How many?
I don't know the number. I can get that for you if
Do you think
like
that number
me
is
to.
important?
I think that it's wise and smart, and what we're doing is accurate according to the law by doing those internal investigations through the process that's set up. There's an Office of Professional Responsibility that does the investigation, and decisions are brought before the National Use of Force Board, and they review each incident as objectively outside of that law enforcement encounter, and then give a decision for
Has
it.
anyone been fired? Has anyone lost their job?
There could be.
Well, I'm not asking if it could be. I'm asking, has anyone been fired?
I'm certain that they have. That happens once in a while when there is a need for someone to be
For conduct
held
related
accountable.
to enforcement actions?
We hold our law enforcement officers accountable and are grateful that they serve, that they put their lives on the line, and also recognize that when these situations that they follow their training and the legality of the course to how they interact with the public.
Yield back.
Gentleman yields their
All right, so I think Swalwell. This is the second time I've seen him do this too. I don't know if he did it with Bondi. I don't remember who else. I don't remember which hearing it was. It was a hearing we were watching together, like this one. Second time I've seen this, where Swallow opens up his questioning by trying to appeal to the humanity. And that's what he started here. He told that story about the family of that guy. I think the guy's name was Lopez. And that he was deported, and now he can't be with his family. And Eric Swalwell is an aggressive former prosecutor, an aggressive questioner, and again, I get frustrated and I probably shouldn't, because who the fuck watches this except us, right? On cable news, you're only going to see the highlights, right? You know what I mean? And even on social media, you're only going to see the highlights of that. You're going to see Jamie Raskin. You're going to see if anybody else sort of hammers her down. Moskowitz is going to be going soon. Congressman Moskowitz, I'm sure he's going to hammer her fairly hard. Zoe Lofgren, Congresswoman, did a fairly good job. You're going to see the highlight clips, the highlight reels, right, from this. You're not going to see Swalwell's questioning of Kristi Noem. But I still get, maybe because I'm just immature, maybe it's just because I'm naive and I'm just politically immature, right? And I want to see, Kristi Noem, she's already got the Republicans there, like this putz Tiffany, whoever the fuck he is, Congressman Tiffany. I can, without even listening to what he's talking about, I can probably tell you what he's saying. But she's already got the Republicans to try to reframe the narrative from ICE is fucking killing people, beating the shit out of people, is out of fucking control, right? Is a dangerous pseudo-Gestapo agency operating at the behest of the village idiot Donald John James Jesus Christ Trump, the goofball wannabe actual God knows why fucking president of the United States, right? They're there to sort of soften the blows. And what they're doing is they're counterbalancing. I talked about this a little earlier. The Republicans are counterbalancing the real things that Americans are upset about, the things that all the Democrats are talking about: ISIS, corruption, murder, abuse, illegitimacy, corruption, masking, all of the shit, right? And the Republicans are just there to counterbalance that, right? To try to reframe this as Democrats are bad because they have sanctuary cities and they let in the murderers, the killers, the rapists. They've emptied the mental institutions, right? They're just there to try to somehow counter the narrative. So when you have a strong Democrat who I have seen nail Republicans' asses to the wall when it is necessary, kind of going softball on Kristi Noem and giving her the political advantage in this type of conversation just to speak, because there's nothing she's going to say at this point that matters. And we know that. We know from watching her and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the rest of these other sycophantic dingbats that are the village idiot Donald Trump's cabinet, we know what they're going to do. They yell at people. She doesn't yell as much as Pam Bondi, but they insult them. They talk endlessly to try to waste the 5 minutes that the legislator has to question them, and they try their best to get out of it, right? But with Kristi Noem, there is so much evidence in the court of public opinion, and if we had a department of an actual functioning Department of Justice that gave a shit about justice in the court of law, there's so much to work with that for Swalwell to waste his time, and quite frankly, my time, Congressman Eric, we got shit to do here, Eric. To waste our time. Hi, Gail. How are you? It's good to see you. To waste our time trying to start out by appealing to her humanity when she doesn't give it. She doesn't have any. She shot her fucking puppy and wrote about it in a book proudly. It's never gotten any better than that since she's been Secretary of Homeland Security. She's the puppy killer. It's just now she has a police force that can do it in real life to real people, especially brown people, because they don't like them. So I'm disappointed in Swalwell. I know this isn't the time to pile on the Democrats, because this should be where we're hammering Kristi Noem, and many of the Democrats have done an excellent job of that, Jamie Raskin being the leader of that, the ranking member of this committee. But I'm still incredibly disappointed in anybody giving her a minute. Oh wait, this is Congressman Ted Luce. Let's listen to him and let me shut the fuck up.
The overwhelming majority of Americans have turned against you is because you have engaged in corruption, strayed from your mission, and abused your power. Masked, anonymous federal agents have killed 3 Americans. Federal agents are illegally conducting surveillance of Americans exercising their First and Second Amendment rights, and your agents are arresting people who should not be arrested. I'm now going to show you a slide of Liam Ramos. This is a picture of your agents detaining Liam in Minnesota. He's wearing a blue bunny hat. Let me ask you, did Liam commit a crime?
Liam was not detained. His father was, and his father abandoned him. And when they went to try to return Liam to his mother, she wouldn't come out of the house and get him either. So therefore, Liam's father chose to take Liam with him.
I believe you're not telling the truth. School officials at the scene say there are people in the house saying they could take care of Liam, and a federal judge rejected the arguments that your agency made. The federal judge stated, in fact, that this incident originated in, quote, the ill-conceived and incompetently implemented government pursuit of daily deportation quotas, apparently even if it requires traumatizing children, and then he forced your agency to release Liam, fly him back all the way from the detention center in Texas back to Minnesota, and release his father as well. Now I'm going to show you another picture. It's of Amalia, who is a toddler that ICE also detained. Let me ask you, did Amalia commit a crime?
No, she did not. She is with her family.
Right. And the reason she's with her family is because she almost died in ICE detention until folks brought a lawsuit forcing the release of Amalia. Now, you may wonder, well, why is ICE going after children? And it's because study after study shows that immigrants, both documented and undocumented, commit less crimes than native-born Americans. So I'm going to put up this slide from NPR. It actually describes also a study that in Texas, immigrants committed less than 37% of crimes compared to native-born Americans. And this has now resulted in your agents having to go after people, such as children, who should not be detained. So now I'm going to show you a video from New Jersey where 4th and 5th graders are running away from ICE agents.
students running from the presence of ICE agents. That's what the Lindenwold School
I
District
used to live
says
in that
happened
town.
this
I used to
morning
live in
as
Lindenwold,
children
New
waited
Jersey.
for their school bus.
I'm going to show you a second video, this time from Minnesota, where your agents are terrorizing children being dropped off at school.
People are trying to get their kids to school, and you're out here threatening and terrorizing people.
So, Secretary Noem, will you commit to stopping ICE from doing operations at or near school bus stops, school drop-off locations, and school campuses?
Our ICE officers do targeted enforcement operations, and they follow the same protocols that other law enforcement do, and having those interdictions happen not in public places, that they do it to where a situation and someone is more isolated and alone so that it can protect any people that would be around at that point in time. So those clips that you show are not the full encounters of how those folks were evading law enforcement interdiction and ended up near that school. Those law enforcement officers did not target that school or conduct their operation near there. The evolving situation on the ground would have been helpful to have local law enforcement backup on the scene to help secure locations. And these individuals and law enforcement officers follow the same enforcement techniques, use of force techniques,
thank you. I'm going to
and
reclaim
training
my
that
time.
others do.
I just showed you a video with ICE officers at a school drop-off location. So your refusal to commit to stopping these operations at or near schools and drop-off locations is why you're failing. So I'm going to show you this video that encapsulates why you're failing.
For my entire life, but sorry. I watched 4th and 5th grade kids run away from our own government. I never want to see that again. And I'm not going to stand by and watch my neighbors run away scared. It's not Camden County. It's not New Jersey. It's not the United States. I love the United States. I love New Jersey. And I love Camden County. I love Lindenwold too. But that's not what we are. It's not who we are.
It is not who we are. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Madam Secretary, if you need a break at any time, just
Sorry. Thank you. Thanks, Patty Ann. Sorry about that. What I had said was, unless if you guys couldn't read lips, then you probably don't know, But what I actually quoted you, Catherine. Catherine is if you're watching from one of the other socials right now, and you're not watching from Substack. You can't see you're probably not seeing the live chat that we have here on Substack. And Catherine had mentioned that only a sociopath could lie like she does. Only a sociopath could lie like Kristi Noem does. And Catherine doesn't use that. Catherine's a mental health professional, so she doesn't use that term lightly. I'm unmuted right now. You guys can hear me now, right? I think. I hope. Yeah. Can you guys hear me now? There's a delay in the stream. That's why if you guys are hearing me and I'm asking, it's because I'm seeing sort of a delay. It's been a weird technical day for both a technical day and an incompetence day on my end because I've been fucking up my mute, the muting this. Okay, thanks, Jordan. So Catherine made that point in the live that only a sociopath would lie like she does. And I think that about says it all. And again, I don't think Catherine would use that term metaphorically. She knows. And I think that's the thing. I don't think Kristi Noem feels anything. I don't think she has. I think Donald Trump, I often say that Trump is superhuman in two areas. And it's almost unachievable, stupid and crazy, right? I say that to get a charge. I say that to be dramatic. Obviously, I say that as a trigger. But at the same time, he is, if I'm going to break that down, not in a way that isn't so glib, I think Donald Trump is both unrelated, severely mentally ill. I think whether it's malignant narcissism or whatever his diagnosis could or would be, but I think he's severely mentally ill. And I think it's almost, for most people, it's unachievable, thankfully. He's also so stupid. He is, and that's probably just because of a life of complete incuriosity and being pampered and spoiled and fucking lazy. But he is his other superhuman quality is, other than a cartoon character, other than like a Bart Simpson that is not a real person, or a Patrick in SpongeBob. In real life, there is no character that's actually as dumb as Donald Trump. He is superhuman stupid by choice and now by circumstance. And unfortunately for him, he suffers from such severe mental illness that I think he's in a very small percentage of people who are so severely mentally ill. And I feel that his cabinet reflects that. His cabinet members can't achieve that. They're not, many of them, like I think Catherine had suggested, and I don't mean to put words in your mouth, Catherine, in terms of what in terms of what I'm saying. I'm just referring to your comment that she's a sociopath. And only a sociopath could lie like that. That's all. The rest of the words are mine. They're not Catherine's. She's a professional and has far more class and dignity than I can ever have. But all of the rest of the people around him seem to be striving to achieve his superhuman levels of stupidity and crazy. And that's what keeps them. Why does Pete Hegseth still have a job, drunken Pete Hegseth, even after he fucked up Signalgate at the very beginning of his administration, even after he's executing this fucking disaster of a clusterfuck, of a rat fuck, of a crazy war? Why does Kristi Noem have a job after, a performance like this, where the entire fucking country hates her? Even a lot of the MAGA folks hate her at this point. Why do a lot of these other goons have jobs? Because they serve Donald. He sees himself in them because some of them are mentally unstable. They haven't achieved his level of mental instability. And all of them are either stupid, like genuinely stupid, or they pretend to be stupid. Example, Pam Bondi is genuinely stupid. Tulsi Gabbard pretends to be stupid. That's your example. So when we watch Kristi Noem, what struck me when I looked at Catherine's comment was that she is a sociopath. And I never thought of her as a sociopath. I just thought of her as one of the ones who was trying to achieve extraordinary levels of crazy and stupid so they could stay in Trump's good graces, so that she could stay in that job, to have that title. But after I read Catherine's comment, it struck me that she is severely mentally ill, or at least mentally ill. That she is a sociopath, and that being a sociopath, she is capable of sitting there, lying with a straight face, believing the things that she's lying about, taking pleasure. And Catherine, Miss Patty Ann, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a mental health professional. I only play one on the internet. You guys, my wife Ritu, you know the real stuff. So please correct anything for the record that I'm fucking up here. But as a sociopath, if this is correct, she takes pleasure in the pain that she is able to inflict on these people that she deems to be less than her, these migrants. I don't understand the sociopath personality disorder beyond, as I said, a pretend therapist on that I faked, that I cosplaying Christy Nome like mental health wannabe professional that I perform as on social media. But I have heard that those are traits, and I have to take that into account now. Let me read some of the comments, and then we'll wrap the live for today. Gamer Vet Dad, if my patterns hold true, this current period of chaos is leading to an inevitability. Absolutely, Gamer. And I know you've been, and I apologize. I feel like I'm always apologizing to you for not getting to your stuff quickly enough. I know you've sort of been updating me in the, by sending me, direct messages. Thank you so much. I have been reading them. I have been following your analysis. I just haven't had a chance to kind of, extrapolate on them and sort of get back to you and to chop it up a little bit. And I haven't had a chance with the interviews and stuff that I've had over this week, and with the fucking crazy war and everything. I haven't had an opportunity to really kind of get back, but I will. I'll follow up on DMs. But I think what Gamer Vet Dad is telling us is, through his analysis, it looks like we're getting closer to that point, that trigger point, where Donald Trump is completely and thoroughly, contained. Not to be impeached, but contained. Catherine, she lacks empathy, and it's all for power and control. Catherine said 100. She can and does appear to be a sociopath. Patty Ann is talking about getting my DSM. What is the DSM? I can't think of what does it stand for? Diagnostic. Ritu has told me this many times. I don't want to. Diagnostic something manual. Isn't it like the big book that has like every diagnosis, and it's updated, in terms of mental health, emotional wellness. The DSM has all of the all of the diagnosis in there that one could, that are currently considered to be things in the mental health community. Isn't that what the DSM is, Patty Ann? Diagnostic Statistical Manual. Thank you. I had never gotten that right. So I'm glad I had to fuck that up, many times over. Thank you very much. Jordan, yes. LOL, yes. Thank you, Catherine. Gamer, I know you had. I know it's much, but it has been 6-hour cycles. I don't know exactly. I feel like I should know it, Gamer Vet Dad, unless you have a comment higher up, but I'm not sure exactly what you mean. I don't know it's much, but it should be 6-hour cycles. So I'm not sure what you're referring to. Oh, everything has triggered except for the GOP pivot in the Senate and donor loss. The thing is too, like, I feel like we would see the GOP pivot because, and maybe you see it a little bit with what Gamer Vet Dad is talking about in his analysis of the containment of the Trump administration, also as it reflects to triggers that took down Nixon. That what he's seeing as inevitable are our GOP, specifically GOP senators, pivoting away from Donald Trump. You saw Tom Tillis, go off on, but he's not really. he's not a Senator John Thune, right? Or a Josh Hawley. I can't imagine Josh Hawley kind of going off, pivoting, but maybe John Cornyn, who's up for real. John Cornyn, who, has to be a crazy fucking MAGA nut right now because he's in this runoff now after yesterday's election in Texas with the criminal attorney general Paxton in Texas. So Cornyn has to be as MAGA extreme as he can for the next several months until the runoff election is over. But then he could become central. He could become more of a moderate again if he wins and if he runs for the Senate. And then it could be somebody like him peeling off, and especially if he's wants to get reelected. Susan Collins is up for. It looks like she's in for a tough election fight. In Maine. So, I what I think Gamer Vet Dad is saying is we haven't seen that pivot yet from the GOP senators as a whole, but the expectation is there, and it very well could, as this war in Iran continues to go south for America, and Iran seems to now be dictating the narrative of the war. Trump has completely lost control of the narrative. Hegseth has lost control of the war. I mean, I can't say the same necessarily for Netanyahu and the Israelis because they have a different, they're obviously more disciplined than the goofballs we have here, and they're just using Trump anyway to, sort of try to give legitimacy and firepower in the war. But for the most part, at least as far as America is concerned, it's pretty clear that the Iranians control the narrative. They control the news cycle. When they stop firing on U.S. bases or they stop firing on their neighbors, the news cycle responds to that. When they want to control the news cycle, they start firing again. They started firing on Turkey this morning, and NATO had to blow those NATO troops had to blow those drones out of the sky, or those missiles, whatever they were, out of the sky. And but just keep an eye. Watch our news cycle. Watch the way the news cycle operates, and you can see that the U.S. is playing catch up. Pete Hegseth, drunken Pete Hegseth. The more he's out there, we're seeing him every day now. The worse. The more he's out there speaking as the face of this war, the more we see him as a semi-functioning alcoholic who just needs to convince everybody that he has a really big dick still, right? Right, and that's all it's about. And the more we see of him, the worse the PR gets for the United States. And it does seem to me the more the Iranians get to control the narrative through their actions. So that could be the thing. If you get if this war continues to go south and the village idiot does, which it will, unless the village idiot Donald Trump decides to take advantage of an off-ramp tomorrow, today, in an hour, he could say, "We got rid of the Ayatollah. I got rid of it. We killed him. He's dead. He's not alive, and not alive means dead." Did you see what he said? That dead. Like he literally said that like that. We killed the Ayatollah. We won. The Iranian people can take back Iran. It's up to them now. I'm going to be calling all the troops home. They did a great job, the American heroes. Instead, right now what we're seeing are changing excuses. Originally, it was that there were nuclear weapons, and now they were an hour away from nuclear weapons. And then it switched to there was a little bit then during the State of the Union and subsequently thereafter. Iran was just minutes away or hours or days away from having an intercontinental ballistic missile that could hit the U.S. And then that shifted over to we've been at this war for 47 years, and we're finally going to put a stop to it. And then there was a little bit, it mixed in between that was a little bit of the Iranians interfered with the 2024 election. And then yesterday, Marco Rubio fucked up and said that it's not something to laugh about, but it's so crazy. Said that, well, we're only in this war because we were being proactively defensive. We were trying to, the Israelis were going to attack anyway. So we had to attack because we knew the Iranians were going to attack us. And somewhere mixed into all of that bullshit was regime change. But now it's not about regime change anymore. But with the Israelis, it's fucking regime change. Netanyahu has been clear about that since the beginning. So my point is they've lost control of the message. They've lost control of the war. It feels like Iran is winning the war. Certainly the war of public opinion, and certainly the PR war. And as this war devolves, and if gas prices are high for more than a week, they've gone up almost 10 to 12% in 48 hours across the entire country. I think, Gamer Vet Dad, we might start to see exactly what you're talking about, which is the senators moving on. Donor losses, I don't know, man. I hope so. The only way I think we're ever going to hear about it is if the donors come out and start speaking out. We'll see. They're all clowns, Gail, on that bus. Exactly. Institutional pushback. Tillis was a reflection of the changing mindset. Look to see if he is up for the midterms. No. Tillis, Gamer Vet Dad, he's retiring. Tillis slowly got us set up, and his yesterday in North Carolina, what's his name? The former governor, I think it was Cooper, is going to be running for Tillis' seat. So Democrats have a real chance. I think he won the primary yesterday. Gary Cooper, is that his name? No, not Gary Cooper. What the fuck is it? And somebody fact check me on this. But he's going to be running for Tillis' seat, which means there's a real chance for a Democratic pickup in North Carolina. I'd argue it's almost a guarantee right now. Tillis has slowly been redeveloping his courage. It's taken him a while. He announced about, 9 months ago that he was retiring, and he started to sort of tepidly challenge the Trump administration. This is the first time I've seen him go all out and really fucking call Kristi Noem or anybody in the Trump administration out on the carpet. I expect we'll see this behavior consistently and from this point forward from him, thankfully. But I don't know if he's the one. I think it's a John Thune. I think, but I don't know. We'll see. It will mean something different, Tracy's saying. It will be the future. TDS is not in the TSM. Oh, you know what, Beth? That's the perfect spot to wrap the live. I love you guys. 1 minute at a time, 1 hour at a time, 1 day at a time, one live at a time. Folks that are out there on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube. I apologize because I haven't figured out the tech yet. Well, I figured it out, but I haven't implemented the tech yet because I haven't had time. It took me a while to figure it out where I can see those live feeds through the live chats through my streaming software. Hopefully by next week I'll have that intact, but I appreciate you being here, and I apologize if it feels like I'm ignoring you. It's not. It's just that I can't see what you're saying. If you are out there, or if you're a member here of Substack, you've joined us at Xenocracy on Substack, or if you're not, please come over and subscribe. Please like our post on Substack. Please become a free subscriber. It builds this community. And for those of you who are subscribers now, or maybe who aren't subscribers, if it's something that you can do and that this is important enough, please consider becoming a paid member as well, because that's what kind of helps me grow and do what it is that I do. Thank you guys for being here. I will be posting throughout the day, maybe probably won't squeeze another live in tonight, but I'll be posting throughout the day on all the socials. And we just keep going, guys. We just keep chunking through it. If you want to catch this, Kristi Noem's hearing, it looks like they're just about back. And Congresswoman Jayapal is questioning her now, so it's probably pretty good. I'll see you soon, guys. Be well. Thank you, everybody.